and this is what it's all about. These three men are here for one reason, and that is to become the Intercontinental Champion. Hello everybody, to Jew22 here, as we are about to begin a triple threat Hell in a Cell match, and it's underway. And we have the Killer, Edward Khil, you have the Viper, Randy Orton, and then you just have Mr. Rogers. Oh yeah. Wait a minute. I believe that was a Tiger suplex by the Killer to Randy Orton. Yep, this match is pretty much for all the marbles. Maybe not as big as the matches to be later on, but for these three, the Intercontinental Championship is prestigious in its own right because the best of the best have worn the championship. And wait, no, not even a one count on Randy Orton. As far as this matchup is concerned, this matchup is going to be slow-paced. Simply for one reason. It's a triple threat match. And I believe that the first man to make a mistake is the man that's going to get pinned or is going to allow his opponent to pin somebody else. So yeah, whoever makes the mistake will lose. To whom? That's yet to be seen. It also comes down to who takes advantage of the situation and all that sort of thing. So, you know, if you're someone like Edge, who takes advantage of every opportunity given, that's who's going to win. But of course, Edge is not in this match. Randy Orton is. And so is the Killer. As he's about to... okay. That was a bit weird on the part of the Killer. But no, it's going to be slow-paced in the sense that... you know, you're not going to see a lot of high-impact moves. You're not going to see a lot of transition offense. No, you're going to see a beat-em-up, so to speak, because you don't want your opponents to get a quick pinfall while you're like away. You don't want to stay away too. You don't want to stay far away too long because then you'll allow your opponents to pin one of your other opponents. You know. And Mr. Rogers. Big boot right to the head of the Killer, Edward Khil. So far, we haven't had a match in Hell in a Cell. Well, actually, this is only the second, I should say. But we haven't had... but really, if the match stays in the ring, I have to think that it would favor someone like a Mr. Rogers, who is skilled at... He's a mat wrestler. I mean, he's... To me... Mr. Rogers is, you know, a breed of wrestler that you just don't see anymore. I mean, actually you have Bob Barker as well, but he's a breed of wrestler that you just don't see anymore. I mean, it just goes back to his older cousin, Buddy Rogers, who in real life, though he never worked for our company, he was part of the NWA. Wait a minute! What's he going for? A Boston Crab right to the Killer, but of course Randy Orton breaks it up. But yeah, his older cousin Buddy Rogers, former NWA heavyweight champ, he was the world heavyweight champion in the NWA, the National Wrestling Alliance. Same thing with the United States Heavyweight Championship, but yeah, just mat wrestling. It's in his blood. In Mr. Rogers. And if the action stays in the ring, I have to think that Mr. Rogers is going to win. And I can also make a case for the Killer, Edward Khil, as Randy Orton delivered a back suplex. I'm not saying that Randy Orton can't wrestle on the mat. He can, but in a match like this, I'll get to him in a moment, but yeah, the Killer is very unique because if the match were to spill onto the floor, you not only have the ring steps, you not only have the ring posts, but you also have the cage, and then you have the concrete floor, which only has 2 inches of padding. Wait a minute, a double team maneuver, a double DDT right to Mr. Rogers. As for the last match, I kind of sometimes I took a break between the second and third matches. I just sometimes once I get it takes me a while to get going, but once I get going, I just can't stop. But enough about me. Let's just get back to the match. If the match were to spill onto the outside, I would have to think that Randy Orton would win because Randy Orton is sadistic enough. Is just he's I don't want to say he's insane, but then again he can be. But Randy Orton is sadistic enough to hurt people and to use the cage and to use everything on the outside of the ring as a weapon. That's how sadistic Randy Orton can be. But I think the favorite overall is probably the champion, Edward Khil, the Killer, as he delivered another back suplex. Yeah, he's really good, not just in the ring, but outside the ring. I mean, if you want to trade hold for hold, you're pretty much going to get a submission every time, but if you try to fight him, you run the risk of getting your ass kicked, which is what I'm going to have to do to pretend. Wait a minute! Broken up immediately by Randy Orton. Now, that's the smart thing. You gotta keep your enemies, or there's an old saying, you keep your friends close and your enemies closer. This match is every bit as important as that motto. You gotta keep your opponents close. And a leg lariat right to Randy Orton, as the Killer just goes all out with those punches. And what's Randy... I was gonna say Randy Orton was a bit dazed, but of course... I mean, ooh, and a chop block right to the Killer. Of course, the Killer, like I said before, is the favorite to win. But not by much, of course, because Randy Orton and Mr. Rogers are every bit as capable of winning this match as the Killer. So, as opposed to the last match where Becca was the favorite, there is no clear-cut favorite. I just have to give the edge to the Killer, Edward Khil. No pun intended as far as Edge is concerned. Speaking of Edge, he's gonna make history the night after WrestleMania because he will go down as the youngest inductee into the Hall of Fame at the time he was inducted, at the age of 36, if I'm not mistaken. And, whoa, wait a minute! A pile driver right to Randy Orton. That's usually not a good sign because that will lead to one of two things: a figure four, or his finishing maneuver, the neighborhood slam. But immediately broken up by the Killer. So yeah, the Killer knows full well that once Mr. Rogers gets going, he can't be stopped. In fact, all three men are capable of that. Backbreaker right to Edward Khil and goes for a cover immediately. But of course, Mr. Rogers not going to let it happen. I mean, you can also win by submission. Yeah, of course, I told you that. But you can also win by knockout, which is kind of hard to do, but it's doable. And a sleeper hold right to Randy Orton, but immediately broken up by Mr. Rogers. And an STO right to Randy Orton, and Edward Khil following it up with some mounted punches. And he's going to go for another cover. And one, no, not even close, as Mr. Rogers breaks that up. So yeah, wherever the action is wherever the match takes place might decide the winner. But it's just that, like I said before, Edward Khil can win in or out of the ring, however he can. And there's no such how do I put this? There's no such thing as cheating because there are no disqualifications. You can do whatever you want to your opponent. And another STO right to Randy Orton. Then an elbow drop right to Randy Orton. Wait a minute. Oh, and an RKO right to Mr. Rogers. That could do it. But instead he goes for some elbow drops. What he should have done is incapacitate or get rid of, dispose of the Killer and go for the cover. But, of course, the Killer was there. And another back suplex right to Mr. Rogers. And Mr. Rogers is not going to take it lying down.